everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad. You are connected from wherever you are. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Can actions be transformed? Can one transcend beyond actions? It is important to understand that each action is preceded by emotional disturbance. Emotions arise out of nafs, lower dantian or upper dantian according to Chinese system, Taoism, lower dantian, nafs, upper dantian, higher emotions. We are not worried about higher emotions. Our concern is about the lower emotions. When these emotions, they are processed in the mental lab, consciousness, when it operates through the mind, it becomes thought process, thinking. And many emotions arise: anger, greed, frustration, lust, greed, violence, sex. We do not understand these. And when we do not understand these create disturbance in us. You have not learned the art of disposing of these emotions in a creative manner. These emotional disturbances are of the nature of emotional garbage, which you need to sort out before it could be decomposed, disposed of in a creative manner. And that disposing of in a creative manner is the process of transcendence. The process through which this is attained is meditation. First, you understand this. You are told when there is an anger, do not create, do not express it, create an antidote for it. Then you wear a false smile on your face. The anger is real, but the smile on your face is false. So false and real do not work together. If there is a problem, you have to find the real solutions for it. Anger is a real problem. You have to find a real solution for it. What is the false solution? You have anger arising in you on a regular basis. You are told to create an antidote or start creating the Psalms of Bible, ayats of Quran or sutras of Bhagavad Gita, or do this ritual or that. If there is a corrosion in your battery pole, can chanting of the mantras or the sutras of the ayats of Quran or anything can remove that corrosion which is there. In order to do this, your methods have to be practical, because the problem is real, the solution has to be real. Folding the hands or raising your hands in supplication in your way will not solve that problem. You have to find a sandpaper, remove the terminal, clean the pole, clean the terminal inside, put it on, tighten up, and then you have to put anti-corrosive substance. It could be WD-40 or it could be grease. So that's what the mechanic does it and tells you now it is okay. So when there is something real happening in you, false solution is not going to help in any way. False smile against real anger will not help you. There is greed. You are creating charitable modes that you are charitable. You are doing the charities, but greeds are there. Charity is a form of greed. You remember that you are now charitable person. You give charities for different purposes. There is the lust in you, sex in you, desire for sex, unfulfilled desires. These unfulfilled desires become the emotional disturbance when they interact. Unfulfilled desire, when it interacts at the mind, at the level of the mind through the process of thinking, it becomes a desire, and desire becomes an action. So you have to find the correct solution. Saying that you have the lust or unfulfilled sexual desires, sex desires, you have to fulfill it in a particular manner. First, you have to understand this. When you understand this, then you have to find a technique how to do it. Let us say there is anger. So how to remove the anger? I'll take one simple example. When anger is there, it means a violent energy is arising in your system, and that is activated, that is active in you. It is making you do wrong things. So utilize it in a creative manner, or in a very, you are alert and aware of this. You can go into your room. If it is at the level of the body and it is at the level of the mind, because both interact, affect one another, you can do jogging, you can do catharsis, you can, Zen masters, Zen disciples, they go to the forest, they chop the wood, pull the water from the well, and that way they utilize that energy that could be violence, that could be causing damage to you. It is, anger is like you are keeping a burning coal on your hand. It is not doing anything to the other person except the emotional disturbance at the level of the mind, but it is that causing more damage to you. So catharsis is one of the way. If there is, so catharsis, chopping the wood, pulling the water, jogging or running an hour extra on the treadmill, or doing something else, or if you have an opportunity, you are screaming. There was a Hasid master, Levi Izak was his name. Whenever the situation was, he used to climb up the if there are tables and chairs, he will climb over it, and all kind of things he used to do, acrobatic things, in order to dispose of his anger or violence in a creative manner. But what happens when there is violence? The anger has reached its pinnacle, it becomes violence, and violent person can cause damage to the other, and not only that, he causes damage to himself also. So if you have an opportunity, you can do the emotional disturbance, the mental disturbance through catharsis by using the bodily gestures, using the words. At times I have pointed out to certain persons, disciples, when the anger has reached the limit of violence, how to dispose it off. So I had told them that go into your room, lock up yourself, look at any point that you see in the room, maybe a peg, maybe something that you can see and you can relate to. There is something, a peg or something, an item. So consider that person as a living person, and you first of all do as much curse as possible. Through the cursing, and then if there is a bodily movement, let it, allow it to happen. Through that, you are not throwing away things or anything which normally happens in anger. We throw this, through that, and so you are simply releasing that energy through cursing at the level of the mind. So, and then you consider that you are expressing your anger towards that person. So it is releasing from you, but it is not causing damage to the other person. In violence, it causes to the other person. So before it reaches to that state, you are working on that. Then, if it does not happen, you can take a pillow, consider the pillow to be that person, and do the boxing. That's where, if you can have a boxing bag, you can have it there, and every day, as a part of your, not training, as a part of your meditation. You don't need to be a boxer. You need to do the boxing or the boxing gestures to release that anger that could become violence in you. So you can pong that, you can do jogging, you can run on the treadmill, you can do anything that you can use the pillow, but pillow is a little softer, so you will not have that kind of effect. That's why having a boxing bag into your room, or you can make something like that, a boxing bag, like a bolster that is a round little solid pillow that is put on the platform where the people are sitting. For it's a podium where the people, instead of standing or sitting on the chairs, they are sitting on the ground and using the bolsters around their back to support. So you can create that kind of a cylindrical oblong shape, fill it as many things as you can. You can take a pillow and make it that way, and instead of going and buying a boxing bag, start boxing. So certain things will release out of you. The anger which is going to become violence is released through that. If you are aware, at times in the company of the master or awakened one, these things happen naturally. If there is sex in you, in the unfulfilled sex, then you go into it, act consciously and meditatively. That true, that it is not going to be a release like I sneeze as normally happens. You are working on orgasm or sexual, the release in a male person. It is like I sneeze. You are not allowing it to release, but you are involving many foreplays, many afterplays. Then the energy will begin to attain a new direction. And when it, first the process of the new direction has to begin. Once that begins, then you can enter into it will change its dimension and direction that one day it will become light. Before that, many stages comes in. You will get more fulfillment through that act, transforming into meditative act. I had mentioned that the intercourse is at three levels, three aspects of it: physical, emotional, and energy level. So, normal our interaction, sexual interaction, is at physical level because of the emotions, the emotional energy. There is emotional movement. Because of that, there is a stimulation. You want to go into the act, whether the person is ready, is willing or not. Then in the absence of that, anger comes in. So the women or the men, out of compulsion, even if they are not agreeing, they enter into it because of the many fears that are there in the minds. So it can release at that, but at the energy level it is not working. So first form of sexual interaction is a rectangle or a square which has four sides. So there are two persons interacting, male and female. Male has two poles, emotions and thoughts. The female has emotions and thoughts. So the emotion of one does not match with the emotion of the others. How? You want to have sex, but your spouse does not want. So there is not compatibility or not the agreement at the level of emotions between the two. But each one of them has to interact for certain invisible fears. Then this is at the physical level. Then there is a level of thoughts. When a male goes through its own thought process, maybe thinking of some past sex relationship and starts comparison. The woman or the man may be having the sex with one person, thinking of another person with whom he has not gotten that opportunity. So thought process of the male and female do not match. So there are two persons physically are being seen into the act, but in reality there are four, and not only four but invisible number of persons involved into the act of sex. It is simply a release. The second type of release is a triangle, an isosceles triangle which has a base and two sides go up and meet. So at the base level, they are two different persons. I'm not talking here emotions and the thought separate. So two individuals with different emotions and different thought process are interacting into an act together. So at one point they reach the peak point where there is a triangle. In one moment their emotions and thoughts match with one another. That is this kind of sexual interaction is deeper than the first one. Yet this is still at the body, physical and the emotional layers, slight different. At the energy level, the two thoughts have merged into one another. The thought process of the male and the female have merged into one another. The physical process has merged into one. The emotions have merged into one another. They become a circle. The energy is not released. Instead, one nourishes the other. This is the level of energy. When that is why and also remember, energy is released through the ends of the nerves. So when you are angry, you shake your hands, you shake your feet. This is the end of the nerves, finger. So you do it that way. Whenever you are angry or you want to relax, have you ever observed what it is happening there? Which you do it unconsciously. So when you sit down in meditation, you have to sit down in a position where there are, what are the different, the toes of the feet, they are ends of the end of nerves, the fingertips are the end of nerves. So there are certain, these are the basically. So when you sit down in a lotus posture, you create a posture that the energy, there is no open end for energy to be released. So that's where, when there is a leakage of the energy, a plumber, they looks into, and then he uses the adhesive or whatever is necessary so that there is no leakage, or he uses the other devices. If you are going to get your car air conditioner serviced and you have a problem, so the technician checks if there is any leakage at any level. So he has his own process of checking how to check the leaks. If there is a leak, so he corrects that. After that, he does not gas it simultaneously, same time, he vacuums it first. Because with the leak, whatever impurities, whatever outside substances entered into the system, that has to be vacuumed, and after that, he gases it. So in the same way, you are sitting in a lotus posture, so but in the act of sex, now the same thing happens. The thought process is one, the emotional process is one, then there is a circle formed. The male energy is flowing through the female energy is moving through the circular path. It is not elliptical. Elliptical means at one point, in sex relationship, normally there is an elliptical path of energy. There is a closest distance, and there is in an eclipse, which is an oblong shape, the distance from the center varies. At one point it is the highest distance, at the other point is the lowest distance, shortest and longest distance. But in circle, any point on this circle, its radius, the distance to the center is known as radius, it is same. That's why the ultimate state of sexual relationship is considered as circular movement. In circular movement, at any point of the act of sex, you are equidistant from the center. The male is connected to the center, the female is connected to the center, to her center, and in connecting to her center, in connecting to his center, he is indirectly connecting to each other. Because cosmos have only one center. So, and the sun is the center of the solar, the cosmic space, cosmic existence. So, now in your case, you are a replica of the solar the cosmic existence, the cosmos. So you have your center, and the center of your spouse is the same, vibrates at the same wavelength. So that is the same between you and your spouse. The vibration is happening at the same wavelength. So you are at your center, You are not emotional, there is no emotion disturbance, there is no thought processes going on. In that state, sometimes the couples have expressed that they have not experienced orgasm, but they experience the state of timelessness. They become so. For a state of egolessness comes, the ego is no more, the identity is no more, that I am this, I am better than my husband, and husband said, I am better than my wife. If I do not do this, she will not get orgasm. If wife thinks the same way, no. The objective, the goal of the two is to give fulfillment to one another. And in that moment, there is the merger of two beings into one. So the two is one center. And then the distance, when you are moving in your circle, so both of them are at the same circle, two different centers which have coincided with one another. And in that state, at times the persons have experienced and mentioned that they have they become completely oblivious of time. There was no orgasm, but they completely become oblivious of time, as if the time has become still. They have not experienced any movement of time, because the ego is no more. You want to give your best to your spouse want to give you the best. Nobody is trying to dominate one another. Both are operating at the same level of consciousness. Then the act becomes a circle. The energy flows in a circular form. You attain to a state of timelessness and egolessness. Both are egolessness and timelessness is a phenomena of the two sides of the same coin. When you are egoless, you have no identity, you become, time becomes redundant. Then what you become? You become cosmic, you become eternal. Never, that for the first time, you experience something that is never born, never dies. You experience your being. It can happen in meditation, but in case of sex, which is available to you every day, as many times as you can, then you can attain to the same state of the first egolessness. Then you experience the other side, timelessness, and in that moment you realize that you are eternal, never born, never died. You are simply performing. Then the false is no more. You are treating the real problem with the real solution, not the false, the real with the false solution. The anger, real anger through false smile. Real desire for sex through celibacy. You are not doing that. When there is a real desire for sex, you are going into it in a reality. How to do it. And then otherwise the false becomes your personality and real becomes your soul. The real anger is your soul, and the false smile is your personality. You are divided against yourself, and a constant fight is going on within you. Remember that those who have for one reason or the other abandoned the sex, they are fighting against themselves. Introspect yourself, and you will see that what I am saying is right. Because for one reason or the other, they have a desire, but they are not going into it. So you are divided against yourself, and there is a constant fight, and there is a turmoil. You cannot be happy with the false smile or false technique through a forced celibacy, because you find that it is of no use. So you truncated that relationship. I am taking that each example one by one, because each one of these problems, anger, the unfulfilled desires, unfulfilled sexual desire, unfulfilled any other desire, becomes the cause of anger, and then it ultimately leads to violence. So you understand this. So you cannot be happy with a false smile or a false technique. In case of sex, what is the false smile? The false smile is celibacy. You want to go into, but you are forcing yourself, no, I will not go into. So you are deceiving yourself. You cannot be happy with the real anger hidden behind trying to come out. The desire for sex trying to come out, but you are forcing something false on you. And this is the situation with most of us, that all that is good is false, and all that is bad, anger is bad, but it is real. Your smile is good, but it is false. So all that is false, good is false, and all that is real, all that is bad is real. The real you carry within, the false you show outside. Outside you show that you are not. Sometimes you bear a false smile, and this is a state of schizophrenia. And every man has become, every person, men and women both, has become schizophrenic. Not only divided, but constantly fighting within themselves. Look within yourself. Are you not fighting within with something or the other? The whole life and the energy is wasted and dissipated in this fight. And that keeps, you can force something on you, but that will not be the solution. And the fight is against any kind of fight is stupid, but this is happening. I am not suggesting this. Don't create any falsity around you. The false will never lead you to the real. As it has been told to you by your religious preceptors to avoid anger, wear a smile, avoid sex, go into celibacy, the false will lead you more and more to the false. It is a vicious circle. Do not do the false, allow the real, total expression. I am generalizing this, not speaking specific to a person. If you have that kind of a personal problem, you can discuss it, and that can only be done in private, because your problem cannot be, there is two aspects of your problem. There's a personal aspect and there is a cosmic aspect. Cosmic aspect of your problem can be helped others, but the personal aspect of the problem will help you alone. So you have to look into that. When I say this, you become scared, because violence is there and you may want to kill someone. So I do not mean that you go and kill the person. Meditate on it. Be alert and awake of this. Close your room. Allow your violence to express itself in a creative manner. That's why I gave the example in the beginning. Zen disciples and the masters go and chop the wood. They pull the water. They do climb up the mountain. You can do that in the modern parlance, in the situation. You can do the gym, you can do the jogging, you can do the boxing bag and box it. You can stamp your feet. You can do the jogging as much as you want. And then you can enter into different layers of your energy. First layer of energy, when an act begins, it is a physical energy. Physical energy that comes from the food that you eat. So that energy, when that energy is exhausted, you are at the threshold of the second layer of energy, which is emotional energy. But if you stop that, you have reached the doorstep of the second layer of energy, but you have not entered into it. You are feeling so tired. So if you continue, you can enter the second layer of your energy. And after that, again a point comes in when emotional energy, the energy gets exhausted. Again, you are threshold of the third layer of energy, which is infinite. If you continue, even you can use the jogging, you can use the chopping of the wood, you can use the running, you can use the boxing, the clubs, the boxing on a boxing bag. So the three layers of energy operates into every act. So that is why I said at the physical level, the sex becomes a rectangle or a square. At the emotional level, it becomes a triangle. And at the existential layer, the level, it becomes a circle, which is infinite source of energy. And once you have practiced it, consciously you can enter into the second layer of the door. You are totally aware of the entire structure of the building. You can enter into any room. From outside you are coming. If you are not familiar with the geography of the house, your inner geography or the process or the route how to enter change when you have reached the threshold of one and level of energy, one door, you do not know whether this door is leading to the restroom or it is sometimes it happens an outsider comes in and he wants to go to the restroom, but he knocks at the wrong door, and instead of reaching the restroom, he enters into another room. Then he realizes, oh, I'm sorry, I have to go to the restroom. So you give him the direction to reach the restroom. So once you are familiar with the entire geography, this you would have experienced in your house. When a guest comes in and the doors are aligned, all the doors are opening in the living room. Normally that is what happens. Living room is connected to all the doors, the bedrooms, and there is a corridor. It opens in the corridor. So you are walking through the corridor in order to find the required threshold, required opening. So you knock at the wrong door. You want to enter the door of X, like in the office it happens. So for that purpose they have the name plates there. So in that particular manner, you can consciously enter into different layers of energy. You can start practicing it through jogging, through this. So two things will happen. Your violent energy will be released, and you will consciously know how to enter into different layers of your energy at your own will. So when it comes to the act of sex, you are starting the act of sex through the physical energy at a physical level, where it is It can be explained as a rectangle. Two persons with each one of them a different emotions and different thought process. The husband and wife both have an different emotions, different thought process. So there are 4 involved in an act, and maybe more. Second layer, which is deeper emotional layer, at that layer you are a triangle. The two persons are interacting into one another, and at one point they attain to the peak, like this shape there. So at times when we do the meditation, we hold our hands like this way when we do it. Then this is a gesture which you can do it consciously to enter. When we sit down in meditation, we keep our palms like this. This is a kind of a meditation also. The two energies are merging into one form and forming a triangle on top, like the top. You watch it here. You can keep this way, that facing yourself, that is a salutation part. This way you are disposing of the energy to the other. So, and then in the final stage, when you have consciously learned the art of entering into all the 3 layers, so then during the act of sex, you can enter into energy layer. The moment you enter into energy layer, the energy is not being released. Both nourish and nurture one another. So after the act is finished, it is not that you turn your face on the left and the male turns the face on the other side. That is what normally happens after the act. Both turn their face in the opposite direction and they take a sleep. But when you have entered the energy, it has become, the energy is not released. After that, you don't need to turn your face towards one another. You are more full of energy, energetic. After the sexual energy, there is a kind of a relaxation that you fall asleep. That is why sex is considered as a tranquilizer. But when sex happens at the level of energy, it is not a tranquilizer, it is an uplifting, and you feel more full of energy. Your energy has not been released, it is circulating one another. Both nourish and nurture one another. They feel more active, more alive, more fulfilled, and more active. So this is how it goes on. We will continue in subsequent talks about these aspects, but tomorrow the usual session will be discontinued for some reasons, whereas it will continue as usual from the next week on Mondays. So Saturday, Sunday and Monday, it is Eastern time. The Trinidad time, Eastern time, which is New York time. The 6:30, between 6 and 7 in the morning. Indian time is between 3:30 and 4:30 in the afternoon, because Indian time is 9.5 hours ahead of Trinidad or Eastern time, and the European time is 6 hours ahead of Trinidad or Eastern time. So it will be midday in the Germany, France and other European countries. In Pacific time, it will be 3 hours behind, because California is the Pacific time. Because of the Pacific Ocean, it is 3 hours behind. Now the Bangladesh, Nepal, that is only the half an hour time difference between IST and their own countries. So it is more or less the same. Whereas in England, it is Greenwich Mean Time, which is 4 hours ahead of Eastern time. Australia have different time zones, just as America. It is Eastern time zone, Central time zone and Pacific time zone. The Central time zone is 1 hour ahead of Eastern time. Pacific time is 3 hours behind than the Australian times. In some places it is 12 hours ahead, in some places it is 14 hours ahead. So you can know your location, go into your phone, into the world clock and see, and accordingly you can find out what time this broadcast, if it is of interest to you. I cannot force anyone to listen to this if it appeals to you, and if you feel it has done anything good and you want to listen to it, then you can follow this instruction that I am mentioning it to you. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day. This talk will be available on the YouTube. It is live on YouTube, and later, after a little while, it will be available in the YouTube channel. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day.